Okay, this video is a review of my new Supro Blues King 8 small tube amp. And it's not going to be very long because the amp is really simple. It takes about 2 minutes to turn on and make sound good. And I'm just going to show you the amp and play some clips and maybe make some comments about it. But I think the brevity of my comments goes to verify my point that a simple little amp is very good. And they have several of these small tube amps out now. I think it's meeting a real need. But I think this Supro Blues tube amp is just an extra good one. It's very well made. It sells for $3.99, and I'm very pleased. I like it a lot, and I'll show you the amp, and then mostly just play a little bit. You can hear some different clips of me playing through this beautiful amp. Here's the amp. You can see it. It's little. There's my hand on it. Gives you some sense of the size. Let's look at the top. You can see it's got a, let me turn it around. You can see it's got a input there, and this cord, it sits right by my chair. I'm like Archie Bunker. I've got my chair, and that cord is in there all the time. When I come home, I just grab a guitar out of the case. I turn it on over there with that simple on switch and a standby switch. Easy enough. There it goes. And look at that. That volume, this volume on the left is like gain, basically. And then you've got a master volume. We all know how to work that. And one tone button. It's got a boost. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it. And it sounds good. And you don't have to fuss with a lot of knobs to make it sound good. Pretty much anything you do on this thing sounds good. When I plugged in the Supro, I got a really good sound right away. And I've tried some of these modeling amps, and I hear other people make them sound amazing. I don't think they sound as good as a tube amp anyway, but I've definitely heard some other people make them sound better than I was. But I just was having all kinds of trouble getting it to sound like I wanted. And so I looked for small tube amps. There were several out there. And the one that was on the floor where I usually buy my gear was the Supro Blues King 8. So I bought it. It's a very well made amp. Have zero complaints about it. It sounded good immediately. You can tell a lot about an amp by how it sounds just with the natural sound, and this thing sounded really good right away. I plugged my white American Professional Strat into it, no pedals or anything. And right away I got that really nice, distinctive, sweet Strat sound played through a tube amp. Just nothing, you know. And the controls are so simple. I mean, I didn't do anything, and I thought it sounded great. You can see the back of the amp there. It's a classic tube amp. It's, you know, open, it's a little bit open, but it's got the covering to protect the tubes. It's got a line out and a boost, and I'm not, you can boost FTSW, boost foot switch, right? So you can boost the foot switch there, and that's about it. You know what? I'd rather have a few things and really high quality, which this is. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of knobs and buttons. But this thing is a heavy-duty little bugger. It's not heavy, but you know, for its size, it's substantial, and I mean, it's not like something heavy, but it is well made and very sturdy. I mean, you don't get the impression that it's cheap. Everything holds together really well. The Supro Blues King has a good classic tube sound that's great for southern rock. A little bit of tube screamer maybe, and just a touch of delay and reverb just to kind of, I'm not much, you know, a lot of times just a little bit to kind of sweeten the sound a little bit, you know, give you a little bit of sustain. But I thought it had a really good southern rock sound. I'm not all that good with pedals, but I do have some, and I like to buy ones that are simple and easy to use, like the Supro Blues King 8 amp that I have. And I hooked it up to a fuzz pedal and got some great rock and roll sounds. I mean, you can't beat a fuzz played through a tube amp, and I was really pleased. So I just wish I had a bar band and a bar room to play it in these days. Add a little bit more delay and reverb, and you can get that really kind of atmospheric classic rock sound, which I love, prog rock or just that kind of stormy, moody rock. And it was great for playing slide. And of course, it would hardly be a tube amp if it didn't kick some ass in playing good old electric blues, and it really comes through with shining colors. It's a great little blues amp. The one thing I wish it had was reverb. So I've got reverb pedals, and I've got a couple things that take care of that. There is a bigger version, I think the Supro Blues King 12, and it's got reverb. I almost wanted to swap it out and get the one with reverb. I still am thinking about it, because it's nice to have reverb in an amp, but I guess it can't have everything. But here it is playing with the Keeley Dark Side pedal, which has delay and fuzz, and kind of gives you David Gilmour in a box. And I just thought the amp sounded great, the guitar sounded great, and it's a good pedal, by the way. So, but definitely the amp just sings right out, and it gives you that really good atmospheric sound. In conclusion, I really recommend this amp. It's a bedroom amp, you know, and so often bedroom amps are usually little solid state amps by design, and I think they're coming out with some of these smaller tube amps that they're not meant to play out, and they're going to compete with some of this little Line 6 and Boss modelers, in my opinion, because they give you everything a tube amp does, but they're so small and manageable. Here you can see, I'll show you my hand. That's a little amp. I mean, it's small, but it's a bona fide tube amp, and you know, I really like it, and I feel like that's a new trend. You know, I think they'll be coming out with more of these small tube amps, because you just can't beat a tube amp. You can't beat a tube amp, and this has all the benefits of a tube amp. It's small, it's easy, it sounds good when you turn it on. If I have to mess with something for 15 minutes or read a complicated manual just to make it sound, you know, like a good clean Fender guitar, I don't want the amp, and I'm sure that's my ignorance, you know. But then again, I'm me, and I know what I want, and I'm buying it, and I want something that's simple and sounds good right away, which a tube amp does. I mean, it shouldn't, you know, if you buy a Martin guitar, you know, you play a G chord, it sounds good, and that's how kind of I feel about electronics. You know, I want them to sound good. So. Here are my Fenders, by the way. I've got, that's my Highway 1. But anyway, I've got some nice guitars.